So the first retirement surprise is that you will probably be happier in retirement than you thought you would have. There was a study that's shown that the peak happiness in your lifetime is going to be at two ages, and that's 23 and 69. So that's the first surprise, is you may be a lot happier in retirement than you think you will be. Now, on the negative side of these surprises is 50% of retirees and 40% of pre-retirees will have a shock event that will deplete 25% of their asset values. Yeah, 25%. Now that could be, stock market coming down. That could be a medical event. It could be several different things. So you've got to be ready for those shock events and try to protect yourself as much as you can. And again, that's not everybody that goes through that, but when you're talking, 40 and 50% of people, that's a pretty big number. So try to protect yourself as much as you can. Okay, another surprise is that there are many, many healthcare expenses that will be paid out of pocket. So they anticipate if you're 65 years old and retiring today, that you're going to spend $315,000 in out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. Yeah, that's healthcare expenses are your premiums, co-payments, prescriptions, all that kind of stuff. $315,000 you need to have saved, or you need to have budgeted into your retirement. And I made sure that when I did my budget, my pre-retirement budget, that I did have that much money in there. And I think I've got actually more than $315,000 if we live to be 90 years old. So that is in a monthly budget. It's in there to be spent. And that was a huge part of our budget, because when I was working, my health insurance was paid for, or nearly paid for. It didn't cost near as much as it does in retirement. All right, and number 4 is that long-term health care is not covered by Medicare. No, it's not. So when you get to be, past 65 years old and you're on Medicare, if you need long-term health care, it is not covered by Medicare. So you need to figure out, up front when you're doing your pre-retirement planning, am I going to self-insure myself, or am I going to go ahead and buy long-term health care insurance? And you can do it either way. Personally, I'm going to self-insure. I'm planning on using my assets once myself or my wife or both of us need long-term health care, that we'll go ahead and sell our assets and go to that style of living. So that's kind of where we're at. We're going to self-insure. But you may not have that if you're renting or you don't have liquid assets that you'll be able to, sell off. Then you may need to go ahead and put in your budget some long-term health care insurance. All right, the divorce rate for people over 50 has over doubled in the last decades. Okay? In the 1990s, the divorce rate of people over 50 was about 1 in 10, whereas now is at 1 in 4. Yes, 1 in 4 couples over 50 are getting divorced right now. And that can really just devastate your retirement plan. If you take and you figure out that, you've got to split your assets down the middle, well, you've only got half of what you thought you did for retirement. That can just, like I say, it can be devastating to a retirement plan. So go ahead and figure those things out. If you're having struggles in your marriage, please go get some advice. Go find someone that can help you, because getting divorced can really cramp any kind of retirement plans that you may have had. All right, number 6 is that time is much more valuable than you think it is. When you get into retirement, when you climb off that hamster wheel and you figure out that you have control of your time, not of your money, you'll never actually have complete control of your money, but having complete control of your time is a huge benefit. And you'll be surprised how happy you're going to be when you figure out that, it's up to you what you do during the day. It's up to you when you get up in the mornings, for the most part. Now, some of you are going to have to probably bridge the gap and going to have some kind of part-time work. So when you're looking for that work, look for something that has flexible hours. Look for something possibly you can do at home, when you're going to bridge that gap. Don't go right back into something where you got to be up at 6 o'clock every morning and, you got to be to work by 7. And if you can, try to get out of that rat race, okay? Control of your time is huge in retirement. Okay, number seven is a recent survey found that the median age of retirees is 60 years old. And that's not because people want to retire at 60. I mean, everybody wants to retire at 60 or earlier, but many people are ending up having to retire because of health conditions or because of their wealth. Or I shouldn't say their wealth, but they're needing to retire because their job has ended or something like that, where they have to go ahead and retire to keep going because they need that income, and then they get a job to bridge the gap between retirement and working. So that's what happens quite a bit of the time. Like I said before, the other one is the health piece. They may just not be able to perform their job anymore. And it's sad, but it's true, where our bodies break down and we can't do what we've been able to do all those years. You just can't do it forever. Since the economic downturn in 2008, over half the retirees are leaving the workforce before they're ready to. So that's part of this survey, and it's sad, but it is true. So always plan to retire earlier than later. So build your plan to retire at 59 and a half, 60 years old. And if you make it and you can actually retire and you want to retire, that's great. But if you're forced into retirement, at least you got a fighting chance of having a good retirement and having the wealth that you need to invest in that retirement. So retirement boredom is a real thing. And with that boredom comes alcoholism. So, like I mentioned before, we have a real problem with sitting in front of the TV 83% of the time as retirees. We got to stop doing that. Alcoholism is also in there. Drinking too much, and just because of boredom, not having anything to do. So again, I challenge you to go out and find things to do. Rejuvenate an old passion like I did with golf. It might be something in art. Rejuvenate an old passion and keep yourself moving in a forward direction during retirement. So if you've gotten anything out of this video, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and hit that like button and watch this video next.